Some holidays are about resting and other holidays are about getting some peace. But this particular tour here on Norfolk Island is all about resting in peace, whilst you scare the living daylights out of yourself. Maybe they're not living. The thing is, I'm about to take you on the ghost tour through Kingston. Now, this World Heritage location has some pretty incredible and very scary stories, and they're about to be shared with us. As long shadows fall across the ruins, it's time for us to head out with a lit lantern to the other side of the road, that is, to hear the stories of supernatural experiences of people who lived and visited here. The sordid, brutal history is bound to leave some kind of energy behind, and I can feel it creeping up my spine, making the hair on my neck stand up.
My name is Elizabeth Robertson, and my father is Gilbert Robertson, the Superintendent of Agriculture here on the island. Now, I've come up from the cemetery this evening to tell you the stories of my friends who are with us here today. Welcome to the insane ward at the Civil Hospital. Join me as I take you to Wentworth Cottage.
As part of the overall experience, the surgeon and good doctor, Everett, was never far behind us as we moved through the hospital and onto the cottage.
So when the restoration team were working on the building, one Friday afternoon they had, let's say, a few medicinal beverages after work. And one of the team decided that Anson Bay was too far to drive home. So he decided to spend the night in the cottage. Well, during the night, he awoke and he saw a mother and a daughter standing at the end of his bed. Now, at first, he thought his luck had changed, but then he realised that he could see straight through them, and they were pointing to the floor. It was also around about this time that he realised Anson Bay wasn't that far away after all, and he got in his car and drove home. But he did come back the next morning, and he had a look on the floor where the mother and daughter had been pointing to, and he saw that that particular piece of sandstone was actually a tombstone from the first settlement, and it was the tombstone of Mary Springham and her daughter.
And with that, starting off in the dead centre of Kingston, a suburb people are dying to get into these days, we're off into the dark. And I've got a grave sense of doom following me through the gloom as I enter one of the most haunted buildings in Australia. Well, so this is one of the most haunted places on the island?
One of them. So one evening, Dr. Everett and I were up here. Now, we were standing in the far corner of the courtyard. We had a young girl standing in the doorway here, and she had a camera slung over her wrist by its string. All of a sudden, she screamed, so we came over to check if she was okay. She told us her camera had taken 5 photographs. Out of those 5 photographs, only one had turned out, and it was a photograph of a woman dressed exactly as myself. The only problem was, I was over in the far corner, and the photograph was taken down this way.
The ghost tour ends in the cemetery, where ghost Elizabeth Robertson visits her own grave. This tour is a fun way to hear the long-forgotten tales and legends of Norfolk Island. Well, I've got to tell you, I am a bit of a skeptic, and I had some pretty grave doubts about what was going on here, but it really is a spooky tour. And if you want to have a great night out, you will learn a lot about the stories behind the place. Most importantly, you will get an understanding of the trials and tribulations the first settlers went through and the convicts in settling this beautiful island. If you want to take this tour, and I recommend you do, make sure you check out this website.